ladies tournament today.
And it was, you know, highly encourage it for anybody who can take a little bit of time off. We went to Japan and Korea.
Raise it up. Terrace raising up with the suited Broadway cards, 3-betting to 1,500.
I don't think it's going to work, Rick. Looks like Mario's got ace-king.
And it's interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing Mariano and Terrace battling today.
In this episode of Weekly Poker Hand, we are playing 50, 100, 200, no limits Texas style, about $50,000 deep, 250 big blinds effective. Mariano, good, strong poker video blogger, raises it up under the gun +1 with ace of hearts, king of spades. Terrace, in the cutoff, 3-bets the queen jack of diamonds, which is perfectly reasonable, playing very deep stacked. Everyone folds back around to Mariano and he just calls. You may be surprised to see a just call from the ace-king offsuit. But when you are playing very, very deep stacked, it turns out you don't really want to 4-bet the ace-king every single time, because if you get 5-bet and you get all the money in, ace-king's going to be against a whole lot of pocket aces and pocket kings. Now, Terrace is known to get after it a bit, so because he is a little bit wild, maybe you should just put in the 4-bet and be happy playing for the 50K. But calling is very reasonable and definitely a good, strong default. Let's go to the flop.
He just smooth called. He didn't come back over the top.
Yeah, but I certainly, because I want him to have a friend, I would love to have a second.
I think it's good to have two.
For sure.
I had a
Do you have
brother.
any siblings?
Yeah, I had a brother.
You guys?
I think it's good.
Yeah.
1,000.
And
If
relatively
it happens, it'll
close in
happen.
age, you know? Probably within 4 or 5 years.
I had my first one a little bit late. I had him when I was 36. Not late.
How old was your
but,
wife?
like, my wife is 4
The
years
flop
old.
comes 8 of hearts, 7 of hearts, 5 of spades. Terrace has nothing. Mariano has the backdoor nut flush draw. That's pretty good. Mariano checks. Terrace bets small, 1,000. And I think the small bet is fine in general, especially if you plan on barreling on various turns and rivers. I do not think this is a board you want to bet with your entire range in general. However, this is a abnormal scenario because I know Terrace will get out of line with all sorts of low connected cards every once in a while because I've watched his content and we've reviewed a bunch of his hands on this YouTube channel. By the way, if you like this YouTube channel, do me a favor, click the like and subscribe button down below, click the notification bell. So in this spot, I think this board's going to hit Terrace's range much harder than it would naturally hit a cutoff 3-betting range. And for that reason, he can bet frequently using a small-ish size, which he does. Mariano, with his backdoor nut flush draw and overcards, has a very easy call. He maybe could raise, but I would just not raise in the spot with the ace-king. If my hand was a little bit weaker, maybe like king of hearts, queen, maybe ace of hearts, jack, then maybe you want to start putting in a raise. But even then, when you're getting good odds and you have a hand that's going to realize its equity okay, I think check calling is perfectly fine.
So she was 32, I was 36.
Okay.
It's not bad, but I want the kids close in age, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So if it happens, it'll happen this year. Or January, February.
Yeah, nice.
But outside of that, if it doesn't happen by like September,
Okay.
I'm like approaching 40. I'm not trying to
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
chase babies forever.
Doesn't matter how.
Those check,
The turn
check.
is the 7 of spades, and both players let it check through. I think once Mariano checks the turn, Terrace should probably bluff the queen jack of diamonds a large chunk of the time. And you may say, why? Queen jack of diamonds is terrible. It has no flush draw. You have a bunch of draws you could use. Why pick the queen jack of diamonds? Well, first things first, Mariano should not have a whole lot of 7x in his range, or 9-6, or 6-4. So he's missing a whole lot of very strong hands that Terrace could reasonably have in his range to 3-bet pre-flop and then bet small on the flop. And this is especially true because Terrace is loose and aggressive. So what does Mariano likely have to check call the small flop bet? It's going to be a whole lot of pocket pairs, like some overpairs, maybe pocket 8s or 7s or 5s or 6s. He could certainly have those that will not fold. Or just overcards with a heart, right? If Mariano did have ace king, ace queen, ace jack, king queen with a heart, a lot of those are going to check call the flop and then fold to a turn bet. And if you let it go check check on the turn, some of those will bluff on the river and force you to just lose the pot with the queen jack of diamonds. So in the spot, I think Terrace wants to be bluffing with a lot of his high equity draws, like flush draws and straight draws if he has them, but then also some just total junker bluffs that can get ace high and king high to fold. And I think that's going to be a lot of hands like king jack, queen jack, jack 10, maybe slightly weaker hands if he has them. But he doesn't go for it, and I certainly don't fault him for going for it. I don't think this is a natural bluff a lot of people are finding. But whenever you keep your opponent in the pot with a pretty wide range of hands that beat your hand, like ace high in the spot, often you should take those hands and bluff them if they have almost no showdown value and almost no potential to improve. But if they do improve, they still probably do have the best hand. Like right here on the river, if Terrace does bet the turn and gets a queen or a jack on the river, he almost always has the best hand. So for that reason, I think this is probably a pretty reasonable spot to keep bluffing. He lets it go check, though. Let's go to the river.
To the river we go.
Probably better.
There's the king for Mariano, starting off a little bit better than he started yesterday.
I just want to play more poker, you know?
I like that check.
And I open the baby monitor, and he's like,
Yeah.
my wife is drunk on the couch, he's crawling around.
Terrace is going to fire out here.
Leave the game.
Took the bait.
You know, typical poker dad stuff.
I'm the higher mate.
Here comes the boom. Reaching for some pink chips. We call them bubble gum. Those are 5,000. Yellow ones are 1,000. 14,400 is the bet, the raise.
The river is the king of diamonds, a great card for Mariano, and he decides to check it. You may be surprised to see the check in the spot. However, this is a great spot to check, especially if you think your opponent is capable of taking a lot of hands that do not have any showdown value and bluffing them. And if you've watched Terrace play, he does not especially like to give up. So especially against a loose, aggressive, battling opponent, I love the idea of checking, looking to put in a check raise on this board, especially if they're never going to re-raise bluff you. So in the spot, Mariano checks, Terrace goes for a 2,400 half pot bet, and Mariano springs the trap for $14,400 straight up for value, trying to get called by a worse made hand like a pocket pair or a king. Is that the end of the hand?
Terrace is going to think for a few seconds and toss his cards into the muck.
Is he thinking about doing something here?
Oh, my goodness.
He is.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. Wow. Putting Mariano in the blender.
That's not the end of the hand. Terrace rips it all in with the queen jack of diamonds. This is bold. This is beautiful. Mariano has to now call 34,000 more to try to win about $100,000. So he needs to win about 33% of the time to break even. So I don't know. Do you think Mariano is going to find the call? Take a second, think about it. Let me know what you think he's going to do in the comment section down below.
Makes his call. It's over $100,000.
He got that big bluff. He got that bluffed by Mo last night. I wonder if that's in the back of his mind.
This is a nasty spot for Mariano because, well, he has a bluff catcher. And it's no good when one of the best hands in your range turns into a bluff catcher. This is a situation where you always want to consider, is my opponent capable of bluffing? And just as a broad default statement, and you should know this if you watch this YouTube channel, if you like this channel, click the like and subscribe button down below while we're here. When people bet the river, get raised, and then re-raise all in, they're not bluffing very often at all. Pretty much ever. However, though, we are playing against a loose, splashy, battly player in Texas. If there's ever a spot where you should just find hero calls, it is in this game. Because people will just sporadically go crazy. And knowing that, would I have found the call with the ace-king? Well, in the spot, I think you want to not block the logical bluffs. So what are logical bluffs that Terrace could have that may make some sense? Well, you want to consider, will he bet the turn with all of his flush draws? If he'll bet the turn with all of his flush draws, then he doesn't have those to get to the river. Now, I don't know if Terrace bets the turn with all of his flush draws. However, the fact that Mariano has the ace of hearts and the king of spades makes it less likely that Terrace has a flush draw. That means we need Terrace to be betting the river with just some total garbage and then ripping it in. Will he do it? I don't know. I gotta presume Mariano knows better than I do in this scenario. It's a gross spot. Let's see what he does.
Can I have a count, please? What'd you start with, Terrace? Like 50?
Around 50. Like 50
Okay.
something.
Just whatever was in your box.
Kind of. Not exactly, but kind of.
Very suspicious answer.
Clayton counting out the chips.
I mean, all right, Terrace, you know what? If this is a bluff, hats off to you, man. Nice play.
Wow. Makes
Well, I
the
gotta show, right?
You got to show.
I don't want to show it.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Awesome.
After a lot of thought, Mariano decides to find the fold, and Terrace shows a savage bluff.